Hello, and welcome to this webinar on helping you write and publish research articles, brought to you by edAnts. I'm Dr. Trevor Lane, Education and Engagement Consultant at edAnts, which provides expert English services and publishing support for researchers. I currently volunteer as a council member of COPE, the Committee on Publication Ethics, and I'm a member of these editing and scholarly organizations. I've edited thousands of manuscripts, and I've been involved in publishing and teaching publishing for more than 20 years. edAnts staff understand the many challenges that authors face throughout their careers. When publishing research, you need to prepare well, select a suitable journal, write and submit your paper in academic English, and pass the journal peer review process. And after publication, you must promote your research to the public. edAnts provides professional services at each step, and you can find out more at this webpage. edAnts also provides consultations, seminars, and webinars like this one. This webinar is Part 1, How and Where to Publish Your Research. Part 2 will cover features of effective research articles, and Part 3 will be on how to improve your writing. First, let's look at some types of article commonly found in an academic peer-reviewed journal. Research or original articles describe full-length research studies. Short communications report short or pilot studies. Technical notes are often about a new or improved method, and reviews are a summary of a topic based on a selection of papers or a systematic database search. Letters can be about something a reader has noticed in a past article in the journal, but some journals also accept research letters, which are similar to short communications. There are also case reports, which are observations on a small number of individuals or groups, commentaries and editorials, which are often invited by a journal to discuss a specific paper or topic, and viewpoints or perspectives, which are opinion pieces. In this webinar, we will focus on publishing research papers. Now, we advise you to choose your journal early and find the author guidelines online. edAnts has a free journal selector tool at edantsediting.com/journal_selector. It's important to match your paper to a journal's aims and scope. A journal may cover only certain topics in one discipline and may even target a specialist and expert readership. Or a journal may accept papers that cross more than one discipline that would interest a general readership. A target audience may be researchers, professional practitioners, or policymakers of a country, a region, or worldwide. Good choices for a short list of target journals are the journals that you read often or have cited in your own manuscript. Some journals focus on specific types of study, such as only theoretical or experimental or clinical research. Some focus on short communications only or only review articles, so again match your paper to an appropriate journal. Look for journal website information on the publication speed and frequency, and familiarize yourself with the mode of peer review, which we will look at in the next slide. A journal's reputation is another factor, so find out what journals your colleagues read and trust. Look at journal and peer review quality, and look for journals in well-known international indexes such as Scopus and Web of Science, but interpret journal citation metrics carefully. Decide if you prefer a subscription, print or online journal, or an open access online journal that may or may not charge the author. Different journals have different policies on who owns the copyright and how authors are allowed to reuse their published article in the future. And some journals include services for free, such as editing or producing news releases to promote your article to the mass media. Also check if the journal website gives the average acceptance rate and what the main criteria are for acceptance. In addition to technical quality, Some journals want only novel and internationally newsworthy research. For journal metrics, the most well-known is the Clarivate Analytics Journal Impact Factor, which is the number of citations in indexed journals divided by the number of articles in the past 2 years. For research appraisals, institutions are now relying less on the journal impact factor and looking at article-level metrics and attention called alternative metrics or altmetrics. Remember that you can submit a paper to only one journal at a time because journals want original works. If your paper is rejected and you submit to another journal, don't forget to revise your paper by using the previous peer review comments and match all the requirements of the new target journal, including perhaps a slightly different angle for the new aims and scope. And don't forget to revise your cover letter. Now here's a summary of major types of peer review, which usually takes place before publication and which aims to be fair and objective. Single-blind peer review is where the author's name is not revealed to the reviewer. Double-blind peer review is where the names of both reviewers and authors are hidden from each other. Triple-blind review is where the editor also does not know the identity of the authors and reviewers when making the final decision. Open identity review is where all names are shown during review, and open review can also take place completely on a public platform. There are also different types of collaborative review where the reviewers may collaborate with each other or with the editor or even with the authors. However, usually the authors and reviewers do not contact each other. Opened review is where the reviewers' names are shown in the final article, and some journals also publish the peer review reports with or without the reviewer names, known as open reports. Portable review is where the peer review reports of a rejected paper can be passed to another journal, and cascading or transferable review is where the rejecting journal directly passes the reviews to a partner journal to save time. Check the website of your chosen journal to understand what type of peer review it uses. Also check the author guidelines for who keeps the copyright for future publication and commercial use. Authors may be required to sign an agreement to transfer copyright to the journal or publisher. But the journal might allow authors to reuse their published work in limited ways, such as for academic or educational purposes. If the author keeps the copyright, the author may allow the journal to publish the article with a Creative Commons or CC user license, or the author may need to grant exclusive publishing rights to only one journal, including for future versions and translations called derivatives. However, a non-exclusive license also allows others to publish derivatives and use the work commercially in the future. Now, it's important to understand different publishing models. Print or online journals may be subscription or toll access, meaning that the reader pays a subscription or pay-per-view fee, or an institution pays an institutional site license to access a journal or publisher platform. The author may only have to pay page or color charges, and the journal usually owns the copyright. In open access publishing, which is required by some funders and employers, the author may keep the copyright and the reader does not pay. Gold open access is where the final article or version of record is free for the reader, and the journal may need the author or funder or institution to pay an APC or article processing charge, sometimes called article publishing or publication charge. Platinum or diamond open access is free for the author. And green open access is where a subscription journal allows the submitted draft, called a preprint, or accepted but not final version, called a postprint, to be archived online after a certain period or embargo. Hybrid open access is where a subscription journal allows authors to pay for gold open access publishing by paying an APC. A useful website is the Sherpa Romeo database, which lists different journal publishing policies. Gold open access articles usually have a Creative Commons or CC license for free reuse. There are different types of CC license. CC BY is an attribution license that just needs proper citation for any reuse. ND means no derivatives such as translations are allowed unless you get permission from the copyright holder. SA means share-alike, so derivatives can be distributed, but they also need to carry the SA license to allow others to do the same. And NC means no commercial use is allowed without permission from the copyright holder. There are different combinations of CC license, with the most generous being public domain or CC0, and the most restrictive being CC BY NC ND, meaning CC attribution, non-commercial, no derivatives. Some research funders require that research outputs such as articles and datasets are CC0, public domain, or CC BY, attribution. Check your target journal for what CC license it allows and what author fees are needed and when they have to be paid. However, do watch out for fake journals or predatory journals that cheat authors of money. They may have unprofessional looking websites and state fake journal metrics and journal indexing information. They may promise acceptance or have very short peer review times, and they may have unclear author fees, or they might hide author fees altogether. The editorial board may be fake, or there may be no real articles or very poor quality ones with questionable peer review. And a website might hijack the name of a well-known journal to cheat authors. So always beware of emails that invite you to be an author, reviewer, or editor of a journal that you do not know. The Think, Check, Submit website has a checklist of questions to help you find trusted journals, such as: do you and your colleagues know the journal? Are the publisher name and full contact details clear? Do you recognize the editorial board? And are the peer review processes clear? Is the journal indexed and a member of the Committee on Publication Ethics or the Directory of Open Access Journals? And are all fees clearly stated? There is also a website called Think, Check, Attend that has a checklist for conferences. Trusted journals have clear ethics policies, and they want these features from their authors. They want relevant, original, and not previously published work, manuscripts that have not been submitted to another journal at the same time, and all authors are true authors according to the journal's definition. Some journals require ORCID ID numbers and a guarantor to be nominated to take responsibility for the whole paper. Journals also want sound research ethics and statements such as if funding was received and any role that the funder had in the research or publication, and if there are any financial or non-financial conflicts of interest that may bias the work. Human and animal studies need prior ethics permission, and informed consent is needed from human participants. Journals may also require transparency statements, for example, declaring that all the authors had access to the data, and how readers can access the data after publication. Authors may need to declare there was no data fabrication or falsification, or any plagiarism or self-plagiarism, and that copyright permission was obtained to reuse copyrighted material. Authors may be required to share data, code, materials, and protocols, and to register clinical trials on an online trial database. Some journals accept registered reports of protocols before the results are known, and supplementary files. Authors may also be given the chance to recommend or oppose potential reviewers. When you prepare your research article, it's a good idea to get it reviewed early on by a colleague or another researcher. Present at seminars and conferences to get feedback to improve the study and reporting quality. Ask for feedback on the work's novelty, relevance, and interest level, as well as the quality of your methods, data, illustrations, and conclusions. Check in advance if your target journal allows previous presentation, including blogging, conference papers in conference proceedings, preprints before the work was peer-reviewed by a journal, for example in a preprint server such as arXiv, bioRxiv, and chemarXiv. Some journals allow the pre-submission archiving of data, posters, or presentation slides in a repository like Figshare, Zenodo, or Dryad, and some allow the publication of a data description paper or full protocol, or a registered report of methods before the results are known. State if you've used the work before in a thesis or dissertation, or if you need to use the work later in your thesis. Now you could save time by submitting an abstract and a pre-submission letter to a journal, but consult your institution early on if you plan to apply for any patents, because there are special rules about publishing work that is patentable. That ends this webinar on Writing Research Articles, Part 1, How and Where to Publish Your Work. We looked at types of article, journal selection, peer review, copyright and open access, and planning your research article. Parts 2 and 3 will be covered in future webinars. I hope you now have some useful tips on how to write and publish an effective research article in a peer-reviewed journal. Edance is ready to help you, and you are welcome to use free tools at the Edance website. Thank you for your time, and please let us know if you have any questions.